Get the right thing there. Oh, I'm on it. Hi, I'm Greg Kiker. And I told we're going to video this one, so here we go. I'm going to be all like nice and calm now. No, I'm Greg Kiker. I'm going to talk about role playing in the real world. So we're going to use the example of what we call the never-ending Dixie Water War. It's got lots of names. The Apalachicola Chattahoochee Flint is what we use in a hydrology course, so let's just move along. So I'll talk about the ACF just because it's a crazy system, but it informs the role play that we're doing. And then we can talk about how you do a role play over a complex system. And I'm a low-tech guy. All the UFO course credit and just structural design goes out to Mike Amish. You did a stunningly good job putting up with all my rants and raves about what I like and dislike. But we have a low-tech system, so therefore it's something that pretty much works within Canvas as it exists now, and has existed for the last few years. But it's in this point of principles and issues in environmental hydrology. Principles is the basics of water and how it moves around the environment. That's good old-fashioned equations and calculation and stuff. And then we go to issues, which is all the crazy that happens around water. And so the Apalachicola Chattahoochee Flint, which takes about a minute to say anyway, that's why we call it the ACF. Basically, the Lake Lanier up there in the corner is Georgia's, Atlanta, Georgia's primary water source. They are sensitive towards it. When it goes low, the land doesn't have a lot of water. So they want to keep it all. And we'll talk about that. So they don't want to release much, mainly because it's in their best interest to hold it for the future. Just like you keep your checking account high, hopefully, just in case something might happen, right? So you can spend that when things go bad, like a drought. Trouble is, when you do that, it takes Florida out. It takes Alabama, this is actually part of the border. So 12.5% there, 12.5% there, and 75% in Georgia. So there's Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Florida's, of course, downstream, which means they get the short end of the stick or not much water, I guess we'd say. So essentially, this is, if you look at it from a cartoon perspective, that's where all the water is. Now, hydrologically, this is not a good way to do it because that big old dam up there, Lake Lanier, fills up really slowly. Because all the water that flows in gets captured way up there, so it's very slow filling, but it has a lot. And then there's some other dams along down here. The other basin is totally undammed, pretty much, without any federal. And these reservoirs are federal. Federal money paid for them, so they're managed in the federal interest, which means Georgia can't say, we want all the water, good luck, Florida and Alabama, right? If you have any picture at all, if you have any stake at all in this basin, you get equal say. Well, but you don't have equal land, so there lies the complexity, right? And of course, they've sued each other. Just also, there's only 3 months of storage in this system. The Colorado, out where there's a bunch of states on, actually has 3 years of storage. So you don't have a lot to work with here. By the way, we have been doing this. I introduced myself as a second generation ACF researcher. My dad, who was a Florida professor, worked on this system too in the 90s. So I'm the second. So I actually am the second Kiker to do research on this system. And he helped write some of the book chapters on the system today. We've sued each other and fought for the better part of 30 years now. Now, why does this matter? I mean, it's just court battles, right? Yada, yada. People, no lawyers in the room probably, hopefully none watching. Not yet. Basically, but this has been contentious all the way through. Florida just lost the Supreme Court battle on this. I don't know if you saw the papers. It was big to us. We lost. We tried to force Atlanta to the Army Corps to give more water to Florida. We didn't make it. The Supreme Court, or the special master of the Supreme Court said, no, can't do it. Work it out with the feds and work through it. Now, why does this matter? Well, how about the fact that since 2000, the state of Florida spent almost $100 million in legal fees on this one basin alone. And just to make it even more contextual, in the last 2 years, $54 million of that has been pushed out for no real result, besides getting said no. So this is real numbers. I mean, it starts to add up to something. So this is a complex problem, so let's move into it. Basically, so I tell my students this, just so you know, basically there's 4 ways when multiple states in the U.S. own a basin, you get to have a lawsuit. Tried that, didn't work. You can do federal legislation requiring some interstate management, i.e. Congress, not exactly a fast route. Also means Idaho is weighing in on this, where other states get to weigh in. So there's a lot to that. You can do a compact. We tried that in the 90s, in the early 2000s. That didn't work. Or you just basically pretend you have no problems and move along. And so now there's one more I throw in, which says you try to learn from it and teach students how to work towards it with some and that's what this role play is. So again, thanks to Mike Amish and the crew that did all the instructional design, which makes it look pretty and nice. But essentially, we've got the 2 parts, the general hydrology and the water conflict. the role play itself. So they do a lot of prep for about half the semester before we begin this. So it's fall through October. They're working. They're getting ready. We keep telling them it's coming. The role plays are coming. You better, this is the big. It's a third of the. It's about a third of the entire grade, but that's divided up into pieces. We'll talk about that. And it's basically UF online and on-campus students, but it's 100% online. So we talk about the different roles people play. This is a website that we kind of got going to help people see the roles a bit more. And so the typical roles, so if I have 60 students, which is about normal, 50 to 60, we take groups of 10 and we give them these roles. And I usually try to find out the students what their passion is, and what their interest, and what they've been born to do, and I assign them the exact opposite. Why? So they can see the other side. And then I tell them it's good to think about the other side. The people who win these negotiations, who represent their roles well, are the ones that understand the other side. Because none of these people wake up every day saying, how do I strip this river? They are advocating for good interests. Atlanta needs water. It does. They should get water. But how much water and when is another issue. So the City of Atlanta people have to be part of that. Lake Lanier, that's a beautiful place. It has a regional impact from that lake for all kinds of economic activities. It's a legitimate purpose to keep that lake full. But it can't always be full. So when do you draw it down? And when do you do that? Army Corps has to deal with this because they've got not only this problem, they've got the ACT, which is the Alabama-Coosa-Tallapoosa River. That's just as contentious. So they got to move on too. So these state agencies need to get on with stuff. So so each one of these have a different role. They have different objectives. And sometimes they're diametrically opposed. Environmental interests in the state of Florida might want a lot of flow, but that means you're going to drain that big, beautiful lake up there. So therefore, what do? So this is a typical role description we give the students. We give them resources. I even give them examples of what other students have done in the past or strategies. And again, you can read what I don't have time to read it, but basically say, you are the representative of Atlanta. Your job is to negotiate here. Don't blow it, basically. You need to make sure Atlanta not only has water now, but for the future. Now, how much is what you negotiate, right? A lot, a little, none. I've had people sell out Atlanta. They don't get a high grade when they do that, because guess what? Atlanta will not be pleased. They will be unhappy. They will probably be fired if they're in real life. So they need to negotiate on behalf of that with great gusto, or at least good understanding. Now we did this the first couple of years, and we did a role play. Don't worry about the details of this, but we used to say, hey, let's negotiate. And everybody said, you get water, and you get water. It's like if I have $20 to spend, and I guess, and you get $10, and you get $10, and you get $10, and you. They would just deal it out. They wouldn't even think about how much water there really was. So we made a spreadsheet system that says, here's how much water it is. So we based it on some of the modeling and research we've done. Believe it or not, it's simple. The green stuff is what you can chase, and you basically look at reservoir operations, that's a schedule, and then water abstractions. So everything in green is up for negotiation. And then you get to see what happens when you put those things in. And then you get things like the Lake Lanier drawdown over different time periods, average conditions versus 2 different drought scenarios. So this is a system where normally your Lake Lanier gets drawn down, but in bad years, this is where Lake Lanier runs out of water. So this viewpoint almost drained it. Lake Lanier, I can tell you, should hate this. They should hate this with a passion that is almost fury, because it draws down the lake to almost nothing. So if you lived on a lake and they kept drawing it down all the time every few years, you'd be like, what's up with this? I didn't buy a lakefront property to stare at mud. So Florida would love it though, right? Because it's using Lake Lanier awesomely. It's putting water out there. And if you look at the other numbers, the middle guys, actually, there's another system up here that sees it as well. And they say, well, I don't love it, but let's see. It's kind of mid-level for the middle people in the region. They might say, okay, let's deal a little bit more. Then for Florida, it's like, awesome, we have low flow days, we can look at, they set up metrics, so there's a lot of stuff around this role play. It's a technocratic role play. You've got to know what you're talking about. You've got to know what a good deal looks like, and better, you've got to look at what a good deal looks like to somebody else so that you can hopefully find that middle ground. So what I do is I put them in groups of 10, and they have discussion boards. It has to be, and I have a whole lecture system on what a professional negotiation is. It's polite, it's nice, it's not a flame war. You're not going to be mean to each other because you got a deal. So they say, hi, my name is so-and-so, but I go by Max. I'm responsible for Alabama negotiations. I'll be targeting. So he's talking from his strategy. Now, he's not giving his strategy. They have to write one up, but he's basically saying his opening position. Here's what I want. And then they take that spreadsheet and they promote different viewpoints. So they say, here's my proposal to the group. The group has to weigh in on at least one contract. When a contract gets formally submitted, the moderator, either a grad student or myself, says, we have a proposal. And we send it out and they have to say yes, no, or I change this, I amend it. And then it goes back to the group. So, and every time you have to vote, yes, no, or change, yes, no, or change. So you can't just ignore and go AWOL during this. Some of these students do, and they get an email from me saying, your grade is dying. 5 degrees, please get in the game. Oh my gosh. And if there's a medical emergency or something, absolutely we work it out. I'll say so-and-so is now not part because there's a death in the family or some problem that has taken them out of the asynchronous or the synchronous game that is these 3 weeks. So how do we break the structure up? There's at least a few homeworks in prep, because I used to have the people say, okay, here's this Excel spreadsheet. I had people say, what's Excel? These are juniors and seniors at the University of Florida. They have not seen Excel. After my initial shock, I then put them to Linda and some of the other systems. I say, if you need Excel and you don't know what I'm talking about, here's some Excel training that you can go through, right? I also work with them. I tell them during this 3-week period, if you call me and I'm not in the meeting, I'll pick up and I'll call you immediately afterwards. I am at your beck and call for these 3 weeks. It's that important that you get your questions answered. And I don't tell them how to do their job, but I help them work out the details of it. And I help them to de-stress. Now, there's a lot of forgiveness in this. The strategy is just, what do you think you're going to do? How are you going to negotiate? It's due before you begin. And then they have to give me the spreadsheet with the best possible deal they could ever hope for. And I want a Ferrari for 20 bucks. That's how easy it is, right? I want everything and I want to pay nothing for it. Then the least acceptable, how much are you willing to pay for a car or this system? Why? So they know where their negotiation space is. So they know what a good, barely acceptable deal is. Because these people are going to send them stuff that might look good, might not be. If they're already done this right, they know. Oh, this isn't going to work for me. But boy, this might. Then they change it and go. So they're negotiating this. The actual performance is my rating of how they did. So if the Atlanta Regional Council, they motivate for saying, look at me, I got 30% water increases for the next 30 years. I feel that's a win. Maybe I would agree with them. That's excellent. That means Atlanta can be water stress-free for a long time. Now, it might be at the cost of Florida. And if Florida wasn't paying attention, they might suffer from Atlanta's win. So again, you have to be ready. So it's an instructor grade, and then they have peer grades. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I send them a spreadsheet. They have a rubric. And they basically rate all their peers, and they can put comments. And this is where they get serious on each other. This person does not know what they're talking about. They weighed in at the last second. Obviously, this person just had no clue what they're doing. Now, I don't give that to everybody, right? I protect them. So I say, if you would like all your unmitigated, unfiltered peer grades from the people you negotiated with, only those 10 get to peer grade them, then you have those. And I will scramble them so you don't know if it's that person you were disagreeing with or your best friend. But you could see how your own, a lot of times a great negotiator was, this person was awesome. They knew it. So a lot of them are good. Some people are like, they never showed up, and then last possible second, they tried to act like an expert, and I can see that because, of course, the posts actually have timestamps on them. So, and I try to avoid that. Then they have a follow-up survey, which is the easiest part. I say, I give you a third of the credit just by answering this. And it's just, what did you learn? How did this make you feel? Did you see that this was useful or not useful? And I don't use it for any research, but it's for them to say, hey, how did this work? And did you get anything? Basically, the first thing is, did you get the deal you thought you would? And most of the time they say no, which is a lot tougher than I thought. I thought I'd breeze in. But a lot of times the people say, yes, I did, and here's why. And doggone it, they didn't get the deal they thought because they were good negotiators. So 50 plus students every year. We've done this for about 10 years. So this is old school stuff, nothing fancy at all. 90% are usually positive. They love it. Because I said, would you rather write a paper or do this? And about 10% say, I'd rather write a paper. This is a pain. But it's all short posts. They don't have to write a lot. Even the strategy is just an outline. It's their organization. If they do everything right, they rock the negotiation. Because they don't have to agree. We don't force them to consensus. They want to fight to the bitter end over those 3 weeks and say, I fought the good fight, but I held the line, they'll get an A. Right? I'm not forcing them into fake consensus. We thought about doing that, have one group have to do consensus with the other. 2 or 3 are born to do this. And they're like, I now know what I'm going to do with my life. I've had 2 or 3 of those. This is so flippin' awesome. if I could do this for a living, I would be a happy person. So it's the idea of working with conflict resolution, because they have to be polite to each other. They cannot flame each other. Obviously they say, well, have you thought of these things if their person doesn't know what they're doing? So they try to gently say, but it's not their job to save a fellow role player from a bad deal. They don't, it's not their, if they say, what if I see like a total mistake this person's doing? It's not your job to correct them. Let them go. And if it's in your best interest, then they better understand that it's out there. Can they cut deals offline? Can they break the rules? Absolutely. Can they cut deals on it? They say, just copy me into any conniving emails that you, like in Florida, the environmental interest and the Navigation Association want to act like this is a brand new deal. And they all, sure, just copy me and I'll give you credit for sneakiness, just for the actual participation part. Because, does everything have to be on this negotiation? Well, no, because real life doesn't work like that either. My frat buddy is the guy who's in charge of this. Use it. If it works, use it. Because you do it in real life anyway. So that's why I want it to be real. And back to the idea, the learning objective of this is the idea of learning and negotiating. Can you negotiate critical issues without understanding them? We say no. You don't do it well. And the better you understand everybody's position, not only do you come to a better solution for more people, you actually can represent yourself. So it's a sneaky way of getting them to get obsessed. And many do. Some just phone it in and say, this is cool, I'm cool, I'm glad I didn't have to write paper. Other ones are like, no, I'm really, I see now how crazy this is. Because remember, I tell them in real life, they spent $100 million and haven't come to any good conclusion yet. This is still ongoing. Every day, there's a new thing. So this is real life, folks. This is why I kept saying to my students, we never know what's going to happen here. So, but it is real, and they appreciate its reality. So I forget the question, how real is this? And I say about 70% real. No, I hear the guys.
Yeah, we're over.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop the questions. So, but yeah, I think that's it anyway. Yeah, so any questions from the group? Very low tech. But I think you do have to have something that helps people to assess that, so they don't agree to agree. That's the death of any role play when you negotiate. Let's all just agree on this, that there's enough money for everybody, but there's not. So you need something that shows the resource limitation. Now they say, can we pay money to people? Because we don't have money trading. And I say, absolutely. And I've had groups sign buyout clauses. So like if they buy out agriculture, they're saying, and it's based on real life. They look up the Georgia agreement with their own growers and say, okay, we're going to pay you $60 million every time we declare a drought, so you're going to cut this deal. So they all say yes, and then they sign. So they can do that. Sure, you can move money around. Because money's not what's in play, water is. So I want them to think outside the box, and some do. Some are really cool at this. Some are so good at this, I want them to negotiate on our behalf. And they're that